Okay, Drowsy Maggie, let's look at the basses. Now, to play the basses in the first part of this tune, you're going to need 3 chords, the way I'm playing it, and those are E, D, and G. Now your E should either be a minor chord or thirdless, it should not be a major chord. The major chord will sound like this, which will clash with the melody. So if you have a major chord and you don't have a stop, to take out the third, you'll just have to use the bass note, and I'll show you that in a minute. So basically, now on these bass note, chord, bass note, chord, bass note, chord, bass note, chord. Now, we call these umpars if you like. We're not going to play a continuous umpar accompaniment like this. Because it doesn't sound good. It kills the tune basically. So we're going to use a mix of ums and pars, and there's a particular strategy for applying them which works very well in this tune. I'll show you, let's demonstrate. Basically what I'm doing is playing an the first time a chord appears, but then if the chord is repeated, I'm missing out the ums and playing just pars, or just playing the offbeat on the chord button. So in the first bar, I'm missing out the second and third pars. I'm not playing, I'm playing. Thinking gets you in knots. But you have to do a bit of thinking, unfortunately, to sort out where your ums and your pars are. So there's an E chord which would normally be played 3 times, and I'm playing 1 and 3 pars. Par on the D. When you come back to the E after the D, you only play 2 pars. Playing this way as well, you'll notice that I'm rather insisting on the bass notes when I change chords. To do that, but I think it works well. So that's the basic strategy. Play par, but leave out the ums when the chord is repeated, and give a new when you change chords. Now, that's a strategy you can use in a lot of reels. Now, in the second part of this tune, it's actually a little bit trickier to apply. In the second part, we're going to use different chords. We're going to use a D, starts on a D, A, we'll use our G and our E minor again. There's a lot of chord changing here, going from D to A. So if you do the strategy of playing and par with every chord change, it gets very umpar-ish. So I'm going to leave out some of my pars there, in fact. On that rundown there, strictly the chord would be changing D, A, D, A, D, A. So if I used our strategy of playing an every time we change chords, it would get rather heavy. So I'm just playing pars on the offbeat, which means I'm only playing them on the A there. So, you know, you can let go of the strategy and just play what feels good. But the idea is to get a good offbeat pulse and not to have too much repetitive umpahing. Now there's one other strategy we can use, and that involves using bass notes only instead of chords. Firstly, if you have an E major chord here, well, you're just going to tap the bass button in the place of the chord as well. So if we're using our strategy as in the first part, we might play. Tap the bass note, nothing wrong with that. Now the other thing I want to show you is you have here all on an ordinary standard 8 bass box, you have all the individual notes making up the chords that we're using. E minor is here, E, G and B, and you have those here. D is D, F sharp and A, and you have these here. Now on a standard C sharp D box, your F sharp will be here, it'll be the push of the B button, but I foolishly ordered this box with a unisonoric B chord, and I put my F sharp chord down here. So on my box they are D, F sharp, A push. You do have an A on the pull, of course, but there's not much use in the D because we're playing on the push when we're playing a D chord. So on your box that's going to be dum, 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 like that. And G is made up of G, B and D, and you have those as well, of course. G, B and D on the push. So we can make use of this fact to play some interesting variations to our bass strategy. For example, in the first part, we can do a kind of a walking bass by playing E, F sharp, G, A, like that. Practice that on your box, don't forget your F sharp is here. So the way we might use that in Drowsy Maggie, instead of playing a D, we'll play an F sharp, which is part of the D chord. Instead of playing E, we'll play G, which is part of the E chord. And we'll stick an A in there as well, which leads us on to a D. So it'll sound a bit like this, hopefully. Which I think is quite neat, and that all you need for that is a little bit of knowledge of what chords make up your what notes make up your basic chords, minor and major chords or triads. And if you're a guitar player or a piano player, you'll know that, of course, but if you're not and you don't, it's a good idea to take apart the individual notes of the chords that you have on your box. And in the second part, we might do a walking bass a little bit differently. We might play D, E, F sharp, G. So we might do something like this. Now this would be an A chord, but E is part of the A chord. So we're not changing our chordal structure. F sharp, as we saw before, is part of the D chord. Now, G is not part of the D chord, but we're just carrying it through the walking bass principle. Yes, sorry about the fluffs in there, but I hope that'll give you a few ideas for how you can tackle Irish reels on the bass on your C sharp D box.